How are you all doing today? My name is Chris. Welcome to Bourbinsane. We are back today and we are starting a brand new series. This is a series I have done before, Battle of the Bourbons. Now last time we did Battle of the Bourbons, the best single barrel bourbon on the market. This time we're moving on to Barrel Proof. Now this was a highly requested series to do. Barrel Proof Bourbons are something that a lot of us love. You know, we love that higher proof, we love the extra kick, and I could not do one. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what Battle of the Bourbons is, what we do is we're putting 16 whiskeys head to head. This time they're barrel proof bourbons. There's going to be, during round one, 4 blind tastings, each having 4 bourbons in each. So I'm going to pick my top 2 from each blind tasting. We're going to move them forward to the next round. So moving on to the second half, there's going to be 8 teams left, the Elite 8. I shouldn't say 8 teams, 8 bourbons left. And I'm going to pick 2 from that round to give us our final 4. Final 4 tasting is going to determine it all. I'll pick one winner and we'll find out what the best barrel proof bourbon on the market is. So I'll put up an image here so you guys can see all 16 that I've included. I crowdsourced some ideas for my Patreon page, just people I asked in general on the internet, on Instagram, Facebook, and this was the 16 I narrowed it down to. So a couple rules of what I wanted for this head-to-head. I didn't want anything to be too expensive, so I put a $100 cap on it. I didn't include anything that that you can't find ever, you know, so things like your Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, a lot of those are barrel proof. I didn't want to include that. We can almost never find those. Weller Foolproof I didn't include because of the availability, even though I have a bottle. Very difficult to find. I had to do the $100 cap because Booker's is now $100 here. Used to be $80. So everything else is pretty much $80 or less. Booker's is the one exception, the one outlier on that. So one of these is not a barrel proof, and that's Old Forester 1920. Now my rule was kind of 115 proof or higher. Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve is also 120 proof, not exactly barrel proof. But anything plus 115 I considered and I included. So it's going to be an awesome head-to-head battle. I appreciate y'all coming and watching today. Let's get right into it. I've already got these blinded. I got my results next to me. I'm going to shuffle them up for you just so you know. Alright, that's good. Could be any of the 16. Round 1 is always the most fun because I have no idea what it could be at the 16. Let's go right into it. Sample number 1. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun because this is barrel proof. I mean, barrel proof. Love me some barrel proof. I'm not jumping out of the glass as much as I would have thought for a barrel proof tasting. Nice classic baking spices, you know, kind of those classic bourbon notes. Doesn't smell overly sweet though. Leaning more towards a little bit of that, I'd say almost dusty oak. I'm not going to try to guess what these are, guys, because 16 whiskeys, especially being barrel proof, be nearly impossible. Let's give it a sip. Whew. It's barrel proof. A lot of cinnamon. A lot of cinnamon coming through. You know, I get cinnamon on Jim Beam products a lot. I get cinnamon on Heaven Hill sometimes. So possibly one of those two. Not bad flavor. It's not blowing me away. Cinnamon is the predominant note with a little bit of that baking spice kick. But it's not super sweet, and it's actually a little bit astringent too. So we'll see how it fares going back through. All right, sample number 2. Whew. Initially on the nose, I prefer this to 1. Almost took a sip there, but I want to nose again. Again, actually noses very similar to sample number 1. A lot of cinnamon coming through in the baking spices. I think this nose is a little bit sweeter than 1 did to me too. I'd say more sugary, almost like a brown sugar. Really nice nose. So far 2 to 1 on the nose. Oh, that's got a good palate. So sweet. Cherry coming through. Lots of oak, lots of baking spices, even some chocolate coming through. I like that one for sure. Nothing astringent on that one at all, as compared to 1. Nose is more rich, more full. The palate, mouthfeel and finish, still going on this. That's a good one. Whatever that is, 2 is something to keep your eye out on. All right, let's go to sample number 3. Oh, had to stick my nose like so far down in the Glen to get anything out of that, and almost nothing still popped out. Possibly something lower proof than the other two, or just a weak nose. I want to say it's kind of like a dusty peanut note coming through a little bit to me. Very astringent on this though. Ugh, it's burning my nose, like getting a lot of alcohol burn coming off this. You know, with a barrel proof lineup, it's not uncommon to get that alcohol burn. This is much more than 1 and 2 though. Let's give it a taste. A lot of nuttiness, man. A lot of nuttiness coming through on that. When I think nuttiness, again, I think Jim Beam or I think Heaven Hill. Sometimes Wild Turkey, but usually that's some of like the older expressions. I'll get some of that. Not much of a redeeming quality on this, honestly. It kind of matches the nose where it's fallen short. You know, thin finish, no mouthfeel. Pretty astringent, like almost a bitter oak on the back of the palate, which I don't like. I enjoy the nuttiness that's there on this. I don't know if it's enough to redeem the rest of what's going on. We'll go back through and find out. All right, let's go to sample number 4. Again, not much is jumping out of the glass for me on this. This has got an astringent oak. When I described astringency the first time on 3, it was more of just like astringent alcohol burn. This is like that bitter oak tannin that seems to be coming through. A lot of oak, not much sweetness. You know, it smells very dusty, very, very dry oaky. Again, not my favorite offering in this, but maybe the palate will be better. Cheers. Palate is better. Palate's better than 3, I think. The sweetness comes through quite a bit more. I'm getting a nice baking spice explosion, a little bit of even rye tingle, I think it is, on the front of the palate, and a little bit on the back. You know, not much of a finish. It doesn't taste overly proofed comparatively. You know, we're talking barrel proof here, but it doesn't taste overly proof compared to the rest. So I like it. A solid, again, a little bit of nuttiness coming through on this. So 2 of these I'm getting nuttiness. Let's take about 10-15 minutes, guys. We'll come back to this, and we'll see if anything changes. Alright, welcome back, everyone. Left the caps off during the break, about 10 minutes-ish, I'd say. Give the palate a little time to rest after all these barrel proofs. Let's go back through. As I always say, things tend to change when we go back through these. Different order, trying whiskeys in different orders, taking a break, can make all the difference. So let's start at 4, work our way back to 1 here. Okay, again, cinnamon. I don't know what it is. Cinnamon's on the mind today. Smells better. I'm getting more sweetness than I did the first time through with this. This was very, very astringent oak, you know, as I was describing before. More of a baking spice bomb and more sweetness coming through, which I appreciate. You know, I like that for my personal flavor profile. Cinnamon's still predominant, though. Let's give it a sip. It's good. You know, it's good. It's not blowing me away. Again, I think the mouthfeel and the finish is a little lacking. This feels lower proof to me. Lower proof, relative. It's still good. It's got good flavor profile. I'm getting, again, that nice tingle on the palate, which I really like. You know, back of the tongue tingle and actually a little bit of the front of the tongue tingle. Usually that comes with the proof and it comes with rye spice, generally, for me. I like it. I really do. It's going to place higher, I think, than I initially thought going through the first time. So we'll find out. All right, back to number 3. A lot of cinnamon, a lot of nuttiness. Again, it's like a cinnamon coated almond or cinnamon coated peanut you'd find at like the fair. Again, I'm like taking deep inhalations to try to get anything out of the glass, though. A lot of alcohol burn. I don't know. I don't know which one this is, but it's giving me a lot of alcohol burn. Do not appreciate that. Let's give it a sip. You know, I will say about 3. It's got better mouth coating. Sides of the palate are sticking pretty well. Top of the palate, nice. Finish very lacking though. Not a lot of baking spices. Not a lot of fruitiness coming through, which I like to find those fruit notes in bourbon a lot. It's more of just the dry nuttiness. And it's astringent. Like I'm getting that bitterness on the back of my palate. And I do not like that. Mouth coating's nice, but back of the palate's giving me that drying. It's so weird. I don't know. We'll see how the other 2 fare. Not sure about that one, though. Let's go back to number 2. It smells like potpourri in a glass right now. It's like Christmas spices is what I just got on the nose on that. At least coming off the bat of 3. Yep, lots of baking spices. Actually more sweetness on this too. No alcohol burn, which is great. Smells hotter. It smells hotter on the nose. Good amount of oak punch too. You know, good amount of oak. And it's not an off-putting oak, at least for me. You know, I'm getting more fruitiness on this. When I say fruit, of course, it's still going to be dark fruits, being it's barrel proof. Plums, raisins. A lot of those darker, like stone fruits almost, you know. That's what's coming through. It's got a nice balance, really, though, of the baking spices, the oak. It all kind of plays really nice. I really like that one. I think that's going to be one of my favorites. I know we're on 2nd time through now, but it's some good stuff. All right, back to sample number 1. Ooh, I almost got a... I almost got like a banana-like note. Which is... I don't know. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. A lot of baking spices on this one. Again, I keep saying baking spices, but this is a lot of clove, a lot of nutmeg coming through. A little bit of cherry again. I'm getting cherry on this too. And again, the dark fruits. Plums, raisins, dried fruits. You know, dried fruit. Almost like a dried banana for some reason is coming through to me. And it smells like a rickhouse. I love that rickhouse smell. Ugh. I have dreams about that. Oh. I hate to guess distillery, but that gave me a very Buffalo Trace-esque flavor profile. Huge punch of cherry, like cherry cola is what I got on that sip, and that's usually the telltale sign for me of Buffalo Trace. Could be totally wrong. That is good though. That is good stuff. Again, excellent balance of the oak and the sweetness. It gave me that almost like Splenda sugary sweetness along with the deep rich flavor from the Barrel Proof. Really, really nice. This is going to be tough to decide. I've got a couple favorites already for sure. I'm going to need to take a couple minutes. I'll be back about 10, I'd say, and we'll see if we can come up with our order. Alright guys, we're back. Again, about 10 more minutes. I've got my order. I'm ready to go. Let's get right into the reveal here. Starting with my last choice, which is sample number 4. Here we go. Sample number 4. Booker's Teresa's batch. The most expensive bottle in my entire 16. Came in last. I put a lot of the bottles behind me, so I'll see if I can find it. Yep, right here. Still with the tag on, with the safety seal on it, everything. I put Teresa's batch in here on purpose. I wanted it to be an average bottle of all of these if I could. I didn't want to choose the very best batch I've had of anything because I wanted to try to level the playing field as much as I could. Teresa's batch was very average to me. I haven't come back to this in about 6 months. I was hoping it opened up and got a lot better, but even off camera when I was nosing and tasting this, it got more and more off-putting, honestly. Probably the worst, one of the worst Booker's batches I've had, unfortunately. I like Booker's, and if it was 60 bucks, 65 bucks, great. But $80 now up to 100 in Michigan, it's not happening for me, not anymore. Number 2 is my third choice, Old Ezra 7. Right here. Now I think this was the one I described as like lower proof, and it's still 117, so it's not low proof by any means. Again, another bottle that I was disappointed with when I had my bottle in 2019. I had a bottle that was excellent. I loved it. I went and got another bottle immediately. I had this one and it wasn't near as good. I was disappointed in, I guess, the batch inconsistency. I don't think this was the bottle. This is like a third bottle now at this point, and this is kind of in between both. So again, I wanted to include it because of that. Old Ezra's, it's hit or miss for me. You know, batch inconsistencies between the bottles. I haven't had the 2020 yet. I have a bottle, I just haven't cracked it. So I'll be curious to see if it's gotten better or worse. I'm hoping for improvement, but value on this is about 35 bucks. So you can't really beat the value. All right, the top 2. Coming in at number 2 is sample number 3, 1792 Foolproof. Okay. Yep. Now this makes sense a little bit because I think this is the one I described like almost a banana note, which I get in Sazerac products a lot. Fruitiness, banana, that's like Sazerac, you know, Buffalo Trace, 1792. Nice nose. I mean, really nice nose. Full of baking spices, full of oak. Got everything, and again, this is an underrated whiskey. I think the 1792 line in general is underrated. Bottled and Bond is 35 bucks. It's 100 proof and delicious. Foolproof, 50 bucks. Not terrible for a barrel proof, you know, still cheaper than Stag Jr. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and it's good. You know, it's usually solid, especially if you can find the picks. So it's worth a pickup. Definitely worth a pickup. Number 1 is our last one, which is sample number 1. Stag Jr. Now this is batch 11. Batch 11, I thought I had batch 7, but it's actually batch 11. Again, batch 11 was, I think, not as good as batch 12 or batch 13. That's why it's included. It still beat this lineup. The 1792 and the Stag Jr were actually really close. I was between the two off camera, so Stag Jr is always solid. You know, I wish it was more available so we could all find it and all get it. That Buffalo Trace, I was right on that, actually. It comes through, you know, the nice cherry notes, excellent sweetness, excellent baking spices. You can't go wrong with Stag Jr. If we could all find it, great. That'd be awesome, but it just doesn't work that way. You know, it doesn't. All right. Blind tasting number 1's in the books. Thank you for hanging out. It was a lot of fun. That means I've got 12 whiskeys left. Any of the 12 could be coming up. Whew. Stay tuned. Episodes are going to be out every Saturday, coming up for the next 7 weeks probably. So make sure you're tuning in. I'd appreciate if you'd subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos. It really means a lot. Leave me a comment and let me know what of these 4 would have won for you. You know, what would your order have been? What would have been your top 2? What would have moved on for you? If you haven't seen my Patreon page, check it out because I'm doing a bracket challenge over on Patreon. All my patrons can join, fill out a bracket of the 16 whiskeys coming up, and you'll actually get a chance to win a sample pack of 4 of these. So my final 4 that I choose, I'm going to send to whoever can choose the most answers correctly. It's going to be a lot of fun, and Patreon is such a good time. I love my patrons so much. I'll see you all next Saturday. Thank you so much for being here. Stay insane, everyone.